For months, the world believed the battlefield lines were frozen. Russia held depth territory and what many assumed was unshakable rear area security. Then, without warning, Ukraine flipped the script. In a single coordinated strike, Ukrainian forces reached deep inside Russian territory and wiped out military hardware worth an estimated $1 billion. Not near the front lines, not in a contested zone, but far behind Russia's assumed safe zones, places Moscow never expected to be touched. This was not just another attack, it was a message. The operation began quietly. No dramatic troop movements, no obvious missile buildup, no warning signs picked up by open-source observers. Instead, Ukraine relied on patience, planning, and deception. When the strike finally came, it exposed a dangerous truth for Moscow. Distance no longer equals safety. Targets included advanced air defense systems, logistics hubs, fuel depots, and high-value support vehicles critical to sustaining Russian operations in occupied territories. Some of this equipment took years to build and billions to fund. Replacing it will not be quick, and in some cases, not even possible under current sanctions. What made this attack especially shocking was how deep it penetrated. Russian military doctrine has long depended on the idea of strategic depth. Frontline units fight, rear areas supply, repair, and protect. Ukraine just proved that this separation no longer exists. Satellite imagery later revealed the scale of destruction. Massive secondary explosions that continued for hours. In some locations, fires burned so intensely they were visible from space. Russian emergency services struggled to contain the damage, while military officials stayed silent. And that silence spoke volumes. For Ukraine, this strike was about more than destruction. It was psychological warfare. By hitting expensive, irreplaceable systems far from the front, Kyiv showed that Russian defenses are porous, overstretched, and reactive. Every base inside Russia is now a potential target. Every commander must assume vulnerability. The timing was no accident either. As Russia attempts to regroup, rotate forces, and rebuild momentum, losing rear area assets creates a ripple effect. Air defenses pulled back to protect cities mean fewer systems covering frontline troops. Logistics disruptions slow ammunition and fuel deliveries. Morale suffers when soldiers realize nowhere is truly safe. Military analysts quickly pointed out another critical detail. This attack required precise intelligence. Ukraine knew where these assets were when they were vulnerable and how to strike them effectively. That level of targeting suggests a mature intelligence network and advanced coordination, either domestically developed or supported by partners. Russia, on the other hand, faces an uncomfortable question. How did such valuable assets remain exposed? Why were early warning systems ineffective? And most importantly, how many other sites are just as vulnerable right now? The financial cost alone is staggering. $1 billion worth of equipment destroyed in a single operation. But the strategic cost may be even higher. Russia now has to divert resources inward, guarding bases hundreds of kilometers from the front. That stretches manpower thinner and weakens offensive capacity where it matters most. This attack also redefines escalation without using traditional long-range ballistic missiles or mass air raids. Instead, it relied on asymmetric methods, precision, surprise, and timing. That makes defending against future attacks exponentially harder. For civilians inside Russia, the psychological impact is real. Explosions deep within the country shatter the illusion of control promoted by state media. When people hear blasts far from Ukraine, questions begin to surface. Confidence erodes, fear creeps in. The strike sent a different message: resilience and capability. Despite constant pressure, limited resources, and relentless attacks on its own cities, Ukraine can still plan, innovate, and hit back hard. Western military observers took careful note. Every destroyed asset had strategic value. No wasted effort, no symbolic targets. As the smoke cleared, one reality became impossible to ignore. The war has entered a new phase, a phase where borders offer less protection and technological creativity outweighs sheer size. Russia can rebuild some and increase security, but it cannot easily restore the sense of invulnerability it once relied on. That illusion is gone. Ukraine didn't just destroy hardware that night. It destroyed assumptions. And once assumptions die, wars change forever.